Commence primary ignition.
What's up, guys? I'm Emily Swallow. If you're looking at this, you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network. This is the way.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
We're
How
back.
are we ever supposed to top Emily Swallow? That's
I don't know.
Every time we
I
do
don't know.
a show right after that bumper, I'm like, that's it, guys. It's not going to get cooler than that. So
Oh, wait, but
we're
it
going to
can.
try.
It
We're going to
can.
try. I mean,
Well, we
I
will
don't
do
think
our
we've-
damnedest to top it, but why top it? Just coexist with the queen.
coexist. I mean, especially with this show. Get ready, friends.
Yeah.
This is
Hi,
going to be
Jen.
a 4-hour dissertation on Harrison. No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to be 4 hours.
Hi, Hunter. Hi, David.
Heyo.
Welcome.
Switch over here. There we go. What's up, guys? How are the Cantina ladies doing? Listen, my friend, it was 127 degrees here in Central Florida today.
Wasn't quite that
We're
hot
doing.
here, but 4th of July kicked my ass, so
Yeah,
we're dealing.
there was a lot of blowing things up. A
Yeah.
lot of adult beverages.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, listen, it wasn't really 127 degrees. It was really more like 101. The real feel is like, it feels like 127 degrees. And I was
Yeah.
like, thanks.
The
Didn't
the
need to know
muggy.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're just
it's
like,
weird.
like you feel disgusting. Just you're not
Sis.
supposed to swim in the air.
No, it's really something else. Like, I have invested in like running shorts because you don't want to wear like denim. It's just bonkers. 108 degrees.
Kevin.
Come to Central
Is that there?
Florida.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No thanks.
No,
Good.
honestly, don't come to Central Florida for so many reasons.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's gross. The temps are too damn high. I feel like I'm on like the news right now. They're too
Global
damn
warming
high.
is real, kids.
It's true.
It's real.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
favorite thing about the humidity in Florida is that when it rains, the water doesn't even hit the ground. It just turns into steam.
It
just evaporates.
Now, stupid
It's
me made the
disgusting.
mistake of dealing with that by going on Splash Mountain in California at 7:30 at
Mhm.
night, thinking it would dry as fast as it does in
Nope.
Florida. No, it does
No.
not. Ashley was
Yeah,
soaked and cold.
you're probably
and I had to
cold
go,
too. I was saying.
yeah. Oh my god! And I had to go buy stuff. And the really really cute Simba sweatsuit set that I saw, I couldn't find again. And so I got like a Droid Builder hoodie, like the one that they have in Mubo's, and a pair of like vintage looking Mickey Mouse shorts. That's
I mean, why
yes,
not?
exactly,
Right?
Jeff. Soaked. Like there's a
Yeah,
video
it's,
of like a bunch of guys going down Splash Mountain, and the dude in the front just gets hit with a wave of water, and that was me.
Yeah. Oh, Tampa.
Oh no. No,
I mean, the only
Kevin.
thing I got going through at Tampa is like beaches right there, I guess. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, Central Florida, we got to schlep out to a beach, and it ain't fun. So, whew. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's how
I mean-
we're doing right now. We are hot. We are sweaty. It's
Hi, John. Yeah, I did. Ashley is in the third person. This girl has problems. Yes.
As the show goes on, the likelihood of the unhinged use of tenses will probably be, or first and third person narrative might get a little bit wonk.
Yes. But we are here this week once again. Thank you for joining us for another awesome episode of Daughters of the Galaxy. We're here to discuss the Queen.
It's true. This is the show. This is one where it's like Christmas morning. You're like, oh god, I get to talk about one of my favorite green people, and the fact that I could say one of my favorite in Star Wars is pretty great.
Oh yeah, it is pretty awesome. But we are talking about
But
Harrison
she's my
Syndulla
favorite.
today.
Yeah.
So we had a fantastic episode where we spoke with the voice of Harrison Syndulla herself, Vanessa Marshall, a few weeks back on Rebels Revisited. So now we're
Mhm.
going to delve into the Queen, and I keep calling her the Queen because let's face it, me and Jamie, we're Syndulla fans. Like,
Forever.
yeah.
Yeah,
As
forever.
evident by our clothing.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about Ryloth today. I'm gonna refute the term Queen of Ryloth because honestly, I don't even think that's a thing that Hera would want for herself.
No, she wouldn't. She's the queen of our life. So
she's the queen of my heart. But Hera is such an interesting character because she's one of the only characters that has had a what do I call it? A career, maybe a history in like all parts of the saga, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. She has shown up in all of them, including appearances in video games and books and comics and all sorts of other appearances. And as we know, as we are participating in the Summer of Snips and we ramp up, I saw an ad today, we are 50 days, that's 50 days away from Ahsoka. We're going to start to see her in live action. So we've got a lot of Hera to talk about, and have not watched Rebels all the way, although I feel like with this crowd, that's probably not going to be an issue. But if you
I've seen a lot of people rewatching. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, a lot of people rewatching. Hopefully this will be a nice little primer, if we can call it that.
Leading up to the premiere of Ahsoka on August 23rd. So Summer of Snips is in full swing, so make sure you guys are checking out all the VCN content. Ooh. We've been very busy. Mark has been very busy plotting everything out and making sure episodes are lined up that will coexist with Ahsoka. But
we're all playing in one big sandbox.
Exactly. And that's so fun because it's like these are the things that we love and a character that we love so much. But we also get to delve into the ones that are going to be on screen with her. So that's as cool as it gets.
So I think just for some context, just before we start diving into some timelines and some appearances and some of our favorite things. Hey Juan, what's going on? I am somebody who, full disclosure, completely struggles with timelines and ages because Star Wars, like, time is totally fake to me because the entire timeline is based on the Battle of Yavin, right? So we have BBY, which is before the Battle of Yavin, and ABY, which is after the Battle of Yavin. So it gets a little bit wonky. So when I think about Hera, some important things to kind of keep in mind is that Hera is actually kind of the youngest of the Rebels adults, right? So she was born in 29 BBY. That's 29 years before the Battle of Yavin. Kanan is born in 33 BBY, and Ahsoka is born in 36. So Hera is 7 years younger than Ahsoka, and Hera is 4 years younger than Kanan. Why does this matter? Because we're going to talk about some of her appearances, and I think it's really important to kind of know where she is in that timeline.
Right. And it's good to kind of get an idea of like, okay, I know Hera comes off as older than she is on Rebels, but she's a very young woman. Like she starts off at 24 years old. So she's younger than us at this point.
Yes.
And so it's
just so cool weird.
To map it out and learn with us. So educate yourself, kids.
Educate your look it up, kids. We're gonna talk. So I think a good place to kind of start, which is so weird because we got this story so long after Rebels, is really with Bad Batch. So Hera appears in season 1 of The Bad Batch, of course. She's only 10 years old in that.
Yeah.
And we got a lot more context around what her life was like on Ryloth and what her relationship was like with her family before things kind of went south with her dad.
Yeah, and Omega is a year older than her at that point too. So that's really cool to kind of understand where she's at that point. Even though she's taller, Omega is still older.
It's the Liku help, I guess, gives her a little bit of extra height.
It's that tall Ryloth stretches you out. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Some gravitational gravity wells on Ryloth. I don't know. That's the show we're here for. Well, no, actually, take us to Bad Batch with Hera because I know. Listen, if anybody's watched the show before, you know that I'm in a weird place with the Bad Batch. We have a love-hate relationship, so I'm gonna let Ashley talk about that.
I promise you, season 2 is better. I got Mark to stick with it. So Just saying.
I
Anyway,
know.
Bad Batch. When Hera appears in Bad Batch, things on Ryloth aren't as good. Like she's daydreaming that she wants to be a pilot. She's the daughter of a rebellion leader, Cham Syndulla, and his wife Eleni. And Eleni and Cham are in trouble because of an assassination attempt on a kind of wicked imperialish figure, and it wasn't their fault. It was, a stage thing that went awry, and it didn't bode so well for Cham and Eleni and their friend. They ended up being imprisoned, and Hera and Chopper reached out to the Bad Batch for help because she heard they were mercenaries and that they could help her. And Hera appealed to them, but they're at a point where they're just like, oh no, we don't get involved in imperial stuff. Like, it is bad for them. They don't want to deal with entanglements of the Empire, being on the run from the Empire themselves. Right. But Omega appeals to them because it's like, she's my age, we have to go help her. She's like me.
She's a kid.
Yeah, you wouldn't leave me behind. And so Hunter gives in, and they go to Ryloth and they help Hera, and Hera and Omega end up piloting a ship. Like, you see Hera pilot a ship for the very first time, and she's good. And it's just that innate ability, along with like learning from her father's friend on how to pilot. Like, she ends up like accidentally piloting a mission gone awry. Oops. Where her father gets arrested and this assassination happens. So she ends up working with the Bad Batch to free her father and her mother and get the Empire out of Ryloth. And it's a really cool episode. And I just remember my phone blowing up because I was at a con in Indianapolis, and they're like, oh my God, did you see Hera's mom? And I'm like, wait a minute, you guys, I'm like getting ready for a convention. I didn't have time to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch this time.
Right.
And I'm missing it. And I just watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's baby Hera. And
he's so little.
And Chopper's sassy, and he's, and you get to see, their relationship and her relationship with Omega. Like, their friendship is instant, and they do what they can to free her family. And it's just, you see her start to believe in herself, and piloting that ship with Omega, and learning that she can pilot a ship, and it's just not something that she's like nervous about anymore. Like, she's all into this dream.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's incredibly awesome. So it's one of my favorite episodes ever, The Bad Batch. Not just because Hera's in it, but the story is really good. I promise you.
No, and I've seen it. So, like, listen, in the spirit of say something nice, because again, The Bad Batch and I are on. They lost me with episode 1, but that's a story for another episode.
Girl, I figured.
See me after class for that conversation if anybody is so inclined. But that has nothing to do with Hera, so we're gonna leave it alone. What I did really enjoy about the episode that Hera was in was that we did get to see her family, right? Because in Rebels, what we see of Hera's family is really just a very tense and very strained relationship with her father. Cham being sort of the mastermind behind Free Ryloth, and being this revolutionary in sort of a violent way, is very much the polar opposite of how Hera is trying to lead her rebellion. So seeing a young Hera interact with her revolutionary father and her revolutionary mother, you really can see by the end of that episode, you absolutely can see, I think, it's 2 episodes if I'm not mistaken. But you really can see Hera kind of gets the best of Cham, and she gets the best of Eleni. So she is such an incredible hybrid of both of her parents, and I really did enjoy seeing that in The Bad Batch. The one thing I wish we had seen is, I think that canonically, I'm pretty sure that Hera actually has a brother, and I wish we had kind of known what happened to Hera's brother, canonically speaking, but that's a story for another time, I'm sure.
We'll get there.
And of course, seeing there he is. Listen, I'm gonna get stinky bombed every episode.
Yeah, I love it.
In all fairness, Jeff told us that we would never know when he was coming, so Jeff didn't lie.
Nope, and I'm totally fine with it.
It's also really nice seeing little Hera with, I mean, I guess we can't call him Little Chopper because droids don't really grow, but little Hera with Chopper is kind of a lovely thing to see as well.
Yeah, murder sword for the win. Yeah.
But it also, you know, it kind of points out, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we progress into some of the Rebels timeline stuff, you know, that Hera has like a special kind of loyalty in my mind, right? Like she didn't have to nurse this droid back to health. She didn't have to save a downed Imperial droid and make him her friend, but
Right.
she did, and she's loyal to him, and that loyalty absolutely comes into play in every part of Hera's arc. So it's exciting to see that. So yeah, so we see Hera. We get her story, you know, in canon starting at age 10. The next time we really see Hera is actually in a short story where she's about 15 or 16 years old. So, you know, I'm here to talk about the books. So the short story is called Mercy Mission. It only appears in books in this version of the Rise of the Empire. So if you have other versions of A New Dawn, the short story isn't in that, but it's in this one, which is actually an omnibus of Tarkin.
I need that. I don't.
Yeah. It's Tarkin and A New Dawn, and then there are 3 short stories. But the first short story is about Hera. At 15 or 16 years old, she's called into a mission to help sort of bust a blockade to get some critical shipment to the people of Ryloth. The Empire has kind of cut them off and has this big blockade around the whole planet. And Hera joins up with some of the free Ryloth folks and has to bust this blockade. But she's 15 or 16 years old, and right off the bat, she's called to sort of be an emergency pilot and to help with some of these maneuvers that are way outside of her age range, and she performs them like flawlessly.
Absolutely.
So it's wonderful to see, like, not only is she starting to like really believe in her skill, but other people around her are starting to take notice of like, okay, there's something really special about this one. Like there's something really special with her. She can fly anything. She can do anything. She has the brains to kind of outwit her enemies, and she's only 15 or 16 years old. And we see that come even more into play just a couple years down the line at 18 in A New Dawn, which is like my holy Bible.
How many copies do you have of A New Dawn, Jamie? How many? I saw a few on your page.
Within arm's reach. Here's one. So, I mean, this is just within an arm's reach.
That's a hardcover.
It's a hardcover, and it's actually signed. Let me see if I can find it. So this one was signed by John Jackson Miller, who is lovely.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
And Sabine. So,
aww,
yeah. So I have a couple copies within arm's reach, but we don't need to get into that. That's embarrassing.
Is it though?
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. They are well-loved books, let me tell you. They have definitely been, they've been through things.
Sarah knows. Yes.
Sarah knows.
Sorry. Amanda says, my favorite and best, not a lot would get me up at 2 a.m. to listen live from Dublin, but Vanessa Marshall, Hera, hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I'm 2 a.m. to listen. Gosh darn it, that's flattering. You. Wow. Okay, well, hopefully we won't put you to sleep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about A New Dawn. So, because some people have either read it before or just finished reading it, or maybe this is going to be my chance to hook you more into the Star Wars timeline of books. But yeah, Hera was only 18 years old when first of all, she owns her ship at this point. So I just want to say, like, I hate the phrase girl boss but like, homegirl owns her own ship at this point. She's 18 years old. She has this gorgeous ship, her VCX 100, the Ghost.
Win it in a game of cards.
She didn't win it in a game of cards.
Take that, Han Solo.
Right? So Hera's kind of out there doing a lot of like undercover work. She's trying to kind of keep an ear to the ground and see if she can collect any intel on the Empire, and to see what she can kind of discover about this, this growing issue, this growing problem. But she's also kind of there to see if she can like see anybody that might be helpful to her cause, which, enter bar brawling Kanan Jarrus, as one does. So I won't spoil it too much, but it's a wonderful book. And the most important thing to kind of take away from this is that at 18 years old, Hera is not only able to hold her own in places like bar fights on a mining moon of Cinda, but she's also able to kind of see through people's sort of acts. Like Kanan puts on a big bravado, of course, but there are other characters who have a lot of sort of secrets that they're hiding and a lot of sort of plans that other characters are like, whoa, that's crazy. This guy is off his rocker. There's no way that he's going to ever prove to be anything right. And she sees through all of that and says, wait a minute, this is one worth listening to. So her judgment of character, her performance, her capability to be out there on her own at 18 and to hold her own is really incredible. So much so that, of course, it catches Kanan's eye. Kanan falls in love with her voice, which as like a romantic, like, she's literally kicking ass in an alleyway, and Kanan's like, wait, that voice. And I'm like, bro.
Just wait till you meet the rest of her. She's just
it's so good.
Very excited for you.
Yeah, so definitely enjoy A New Dawn. But that's where we start to see that beginning of the relationship between Kanan and Hera. The one issue you have with the book is that there's no Chopper. That is correct. Chopper on the mining moon of Cinda would probably end up in more explosions than there already were, and there were a lot of explosions in this book.
We've seen what L3 did on Kessel.
So many.
Like, imagine Chopper. Just saying. Yeah.
So many. Kanan absolutely fell for her voice. And like, just a shout out to our girl Vanessa Marshall for a second, because like this book was definitely released after Rebels started. So like, that when they were thinking about these characters, they were definitely thinking about like, Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan and Vanessa Marshall as Hera. There's also an iconic line where, if you watched our Pride show, we talked about Ray Sloan, where Kanan tries to flirt with Ray Sloan over a comm. It's really something. It's really something. So Amanda says she probably had some of that Ryloth accent. It's funny because I actually think they touch on it, if I recall, where she's trying to kind of go undercover. So we learn in Rebels that the Ryloth accent is one that kind of gets subdued a little bit in an effort to give her more of a inner core or a core world accent as a matter of self-preservation.
Right. It's basically like me when I'm outside Massachusetts or I'm trying to present a non-mass whole accent. Like I just kind of throw in some R's there against my will, whatever. But yeah.
This will be the last thing I say about A New Dawn, because again, I want everybody to read it. I want to know what you think of it. So please, when you read it, like tell me what you think, because it's something I love so much.
Sherry says Kanan was such a player.
That's exactly what I want to talk about.
Oh my god.
That's exactly what I want to talk about.
Boy knew he was cute, just saying. Yeah,
he knew he was cute, but he also was the biggest himbo in all of Star Wars in that moment. I'm so sorry for the men in the chat. I mean, this is like where himbo is a term of endearment, I promise. But he's like trying to flirt with her, right? And like she's flirting back, and you're like, oh, this is really cute. And she like kind of puts her arm around him, and he's like, oh, things are like going really well. And she literally rips a crucial piece of the mission off his neck. That's what you get for trusting. She was like, she knew exactly what she was doing. And then she's like, yeah, don't ever do that to me again. I was like, sis.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry. I hope that wasn't a spoiler. It has nothing to really serious to do with the plot, but it was just such an iconic moment because I was like, we don't need no men, girl. She's like, she's got this.
Doing it for herself.
Yeah. But anyway,
I digress. Chopper, but he's not even in
She needs Chopper. He's not even in this story. So that's the next place that we...
But yeah.
Well, listen. Can you imagine? I still stick to the point where if like we had Chopper on that mission, there would be so many more explosions. So
honestly, and there's only so many ways that John could have written Chopper throws somebody out an airlock, Chopper electrocutes somebody, Chopper
Furious
blows
beeping.
something up. Yes, big gay explosions all the time.
Furious beeping. He just calls everybody a meatbag, as one does.
Grunting. Was it grumbles and astromech? There's only so many times you can write those.
Grumbles and astromech. That's one of my favorite. Can we have that on a t-shirt?
There's one on a t-shirt. Somebody
just says grumbles and astromech?
Yes, and it's got a little Chopper character on it. I have to show you later in the chat, but yeah. It's somebody made it. It's on Etsy. It's pretty amazing.
No. Oh, yeah. I'm so poor. Oh no, I want this. Okay, anyway, we better start talking about other things because
yes. Well, we could talk about A New Dawn all day, but yeah, Hera has quite a storied career, so we're just touching the tip of the iceberg right now.
So that brings us to Rebels.
This is where this is gonna go. This is our girl, and this is Rebels, and it's us. So it's gonna go that way.
Yeah, It's a hot mess, boy. It's like I said, I wish I could show you all my notes because like I literally took so many notes for this show because I was like,
Oh,
we're
girl.
gonna stay on track. We're gonna hit it in an hour. We're gonna stay on track. And as you can see, it's going great.
Okay, so
We're
we got
halfway
to
through the
Bad
show. We
Batch.
haven't even gotten to Rebels.
We got to A New Dawn. Now we are on Rebels.
Rebels.
Take it away, Jamie.
Oh God, you're gonna let me talk. Oh, we're gonna go way
Yeah.
off hill again, way off a cliff.
No,
All
we're
right,
not.
so Rebels.
I'll play in.
So, so Hera's 24 at the beginning of Rebels, and at this point, Hera has formed her crew, right? So we have Kanan, of course, Spectre 1. We have Hera as Spectre 2. We have Chopper as Spectre 3. Zeb is on board as Spectre 4, and Sabine is on board as Spectre 5. And we see, of course, in Rebels, the beginning of bringing Spectre 6 on board, and literally everybody else on the ship is like, why are we bringing this kid on board? Like, what gives? But oh wait, there's Hera, who again can see so much potential in people.
Her intuition is just flawless.
Yeah,
flawless.
it really is. And she's one of those characters where, you know, she know, and time again we see it in Rebels, right, where she kind of knows who her valuable players are going to be and who she can trust and who she can't. I mean, if you think about like Travis, right?
Mhm.
How Ezra's like, we gotta go get him, we gotta go save him, and she's like, oh, don't know about this, and she hands him a blaster, knowing that he's going to end up trying to betray them. So I mean, she's just an incredible judge of character, which
she is,
as a captain and an eventual general and a military person, I think is so important.
She's one of those unique military leaders that not only has a keen sense of battle intuition and just knowledge on the battlefield and in space and throughout her missions and stuff, but she knows people and she leads with her heart. So generals like that are very, very rare, and I think that's what made her so valuable.
Is it intuition or is it force sensitivity?
Listen.
No, that literally just came up in the chat.
Yeah, I know. Dave.
I would love to see somebody tackle like a role reversal where Kanan is the military person and Hera is the Jedi. Give us more Twilight Jedi.
Yeah.
Listen,
we haven't had
sorry,
one.
that's
No, we haven't had one since Ayla Secura. So
you'll notice I'm not bringing up my other hyperfixation right now because we are staying on topic.
We are on topic. No, to the grindstone.
So Rebels, I know, like, listen, I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody knows, you know, Rebels in this group, but I'm going to bounce it over to you, Ashley, because I have my list. But what are some of your favorite moments in Rebels that really highlight Hera as a unique character?
Again, as you said, I liked how she was the only one to be like, look, we need him. We can't just leave him on the streets with the Empire after him. Like she kind of gave him a home, and she was the first one to just kind of have that compassion for him, because you knew Zeb wasn't. You knew Sabine and Sabine maybe to a lesser extent, like maybe just under Hera, but Kanan, Zeb, and Chopper were just like, no, this kid is trouble. This kid is going to call the wrong kind of attention to our group. We're trying to do good things, and he's a street rat, just kind of, you know, fumbling in the game. And she was the first one to believe in him. So that episode is very important to me. Hera's heroes, like,
thank
them,
you.
them rescuing not only her ultimately from Thrawn, but a very important piece of her family history in the Caligari. Like, and just how Ezra goes with her and just tries to get that back from Thrawn. But Thrawn is always 5 steps ahead, knowing his enemies' art styles as well as their weapons. And it made for a very tricky episode, but they were able to get her back. And another episode that I really, really liked with her in it was when they realize that they can't do it alone, and they join a larger piece of the rebellion, and they're really reluctant at first, like, we got to do what we can to stay alive. And she's like, well, ultimately all of us are going to fail unless we do this together. And with the help of Fulcrum, aka Ahsoka Tano, she she opens the door for them to do some good throughout the galaxy and to ultimately do what they can to bring down the
Mm,
Empire.
for sure. Yeah, all of those like totally iconic moments. I absolutely may have just momentarily dissociated thinking about that scene between Hera and Thrawn in Hera's Heroes,
Oh yeah.
where
She
she's
tries
like
to fool
really
him with the
trying.
accent.
Yeah, right. She's like really trying to like perform this role, and he's like, "Yeah, all right, cut it out, Hera. Like I know."
You're
But
right
it's
there in
just
that picture.
it's that moment was just so beautifully performed between those two actors, but also like
Yes.
the music in that scene and everything about that scene was just so well done. I also again love that it gave us sort of a view of Hera's roots. I mean, and how willing she was to let go of who she was in order to protect, her greater cause, the rebellion. I mean, she
Right.
blew up her house, right? She's like,
Yeah.
this is the house I grew up in, just burn it to the ground. Like it's fine. And she was even, I think she was ready to give up on the Calicori. I mean, I think it would have ultimately hurt her, but like she was ready to give up on the Calicori because she knew that in that moment
Yeah.
her history wasn't going, like she was always going to have that part of her, but she needed to be rid of the trappings, as it were, to sort of
Right.
to push the rebellion
The
forward and to push her
emotional
cause forward.
attachments to be very Jedi-esque about this. But yeah, oh my god, Amanda. Or Polonius 5 steps ahead, knowing he's going to beat our hearts out with that Calicori later. Girl, I am
It's
not
fine.
prepared. I am not prepared. Oh, I
It's
have mine
fine.
over there.
Just gonna hold it lovingly. It's fine. Yeah. So the "Forged by War" quote is such a great one. Let me not drop this Calicori. Oh my god, that'd be a bad way to
Oh,
start this
yeah,
day.
yeah,
To
that
end this
was a
day.
really good moment. Yeah.
Uh, the "Forged by War" one is the comment is so interesting because it really like it ties right back to a line. Of course, the Bad Batch aired. We know this after Rebels, but the one of the opening lines in that episode of the Bad Batch with Cham is he says something to the effect of I hope you'll never have to live a life like mine, because he himself was forged by war, and he was a man who was trying to commit these really revolutionary acts to prevent his children from growing up in that. And then here's Thrawn saying, "Hey, by the way, you were forged by war. Like this is all you've ever known.
Right.
You've never known a time of peace. You've never known a time when you weren't behind the yoke of a fighter, some sort of a ship or a fighter." So
Yeah.
I think it really does hone in on like how calculated Thrawn is and how well Thrawn knows his enemy, um, because you know that's kind of a sad way to live when you think about it. This poor woman
Yeah.
has never actually known peace, and that, of course, carries on. Um,
Honestly, I cannot wait to see her go up against him in Ahsoka. Like really, I can't. And it's going to be interesting because again, she doesn't have Kanan anymore. She's got her son Jason, and she's got the need to find her adopted son Ezra and make sure that he's okay. So that whole dynamic is going to be interesting when Ahsoka comes out.
yeah, for sure. It's going to be. I'll be curious to see, just because she has committed. That's maybe not the word I want. She has so many. Um, really revolutionary moments in all of Star Wars, sort of in her
Mhm,
history. So seeing how those are going to kind of circle back in something like Ahsoka.
mhm.
One of the episodes that I had actually highlighted that kind of ties into this is that she, I mean, is such an expert and such a professional pilot that there's nothing this woman can't fly. So I'm kind of
Right.
hoping, like, by the time we get to Ahsoka, like, obviously we're going to see the Ghost again, which is very exciting for me.
And the
But
Phantom.
um, and the Phantom, which one will we be up to, like Phantom 3 by that point? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
Oh,
which Phantom we
I
get.
know.
Um,
I know.
but I mean, don't forget, she was the first pilot of a B wing, and we saw the B wings come in. Of course, in the original trilogy, they were pretty popular, pretty common. She was the first pilot of a B wing. And then hello, this is a woman that literally flew her beloved ship, through the middle of a freaking Star Destroyer, like pew, right through that.
She Holdo
Like
maneuvered before the Holdo maneuver was a Holdo
she,
maneuver.
yes, 110% she did.
Yes.
Holdo was like, she was like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. So yeah,
Yes,
I want
yeah,
to
we're
see the
gonna
B
see
wings.
we're gonna see Query in Ahsoka. So that is confirmed. He's gonna be back in it. And we get to see a little bit of that in the trailer. So if we can get into depth
Ugh.
on that, that'd be even cooler.
They really are the weirdest little ships, and I love them so much.
Error maneuver.
Such weird little ships.
Sorry, Holdo. We love you.
But like, remember when the rest of the crew was like, "We can't go to Shantipole. Shantipole is where pilots go to die," and Hera's like, "Okay, well, I guess we're going to Shantipole."
Hey, I'm gonna fly through all this fog on these platforms, these tiny little dangerous platforms, where falling off of them means falling to your unknown doom, but it's
Right?
definitely doom. And
Totally
it's just,
fine.
like it's just the amount of courage this Twi'lek has is just incredible. Like,
There's such a great moment where if you can like catch the frame like really really close, like when you pause it, where as soon as the B-wing just like sinks, like Zeb and Sabine's faces are like iconic. They're just like, ah, we can't tell Kanan we lost Hera. We can't do that. But
she
yeah,
flew
no,
an
that's
experimental ship. Oh no.
it
We
didn't-
let her
didn't
get
go
in
well.
this experimental ship. Oh my god. Yeah, Spencer's like, she's like, hold my blue milk. Yes,
Yeah.
Sarah. Yes.
Yeah, it's
We got this.
it's probably
NBD.
fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. Whew. So yeah, I mean, this woman, the other one I have to talk about because apparently 9:37 is being sad o'clock. Okay, be honest. When the Chopper Base episode came around, and Kanan like gives her the hug and says, "We'll see each other again." Sis, I totally thought he was gonna die. I thought right then and there I knew that this man was gonna die, but I thought it was gonna be way sooner. Did not expect him to go blind and like to literally not ever get to see her again. But I thought he was gonna be dead by like the next episode.
Now that's an interesting phrasing. Again, phrasing. When he said we'll see each other again, and he ends up losing his sight, courtesy of Darth Maul. Thanks again, Darth Maul. You
What a guy.
loser.
Old
Sorry.
Spider Legs Maul.
Yeah, so thanks to him, Kanan goes blind. And I think the line where he says we'll see each other again is very poignant, especially in what the events that we know happen in Jedi Knight, where as he's saving them and using the Force to push them back and away from the fire blast, he regains his sight for a moment and is able to look at her just before he dies. And it's just like, what that actual like quote was in my head during that scene, and I was just like, I remember just sitting on the edge of the couch going, why are they doing this?
There are always
Filoni.
certain tells in Star Wars where you're just like,
Yeah.
all right, this one's not going to make it out alive. And like,
And-
I'm going through it right now with a pile of books, and I'm like, that one's definitely going to die. That one's
It's
not
the
going to make
red
it out of
shirt
this.
mentality in Star Trek
Yeah.
that is just like in the back of your mind for Star Wars. And yes,
I
thank you.
remember watching that episode and hearing that line and thinking to myself, yep, there's the sacrificial lamb. It's the one in the green dad sweater right there. He's dead.
The dad sweater.
So
Accurate.
that also kind of ties into Hera's journey, right? So like, this is a woman who has lost more than she's won in so many cases. I mean, she lost her home to the Empire, right? And then she literally blew up her house, and then she lost her mother before all of that, and then lost her dad to the Revolution, and lost her definitely not a husband, but totally the father of her child, Jedi.
The love of her life. Yeah.
She's lost over and over again, and my hope for Ahsoka, because I have a lot of very real anxiety around Ahsoka, is that we can see that. I mean, Hera and the repercussions of war, like there is definitely some grieving there that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Every time from Rebels on that we have seen Hera, because we have seen her quite a bit since then, she's just literally been at war. And it's definitely been we haven't seen a lot of sort of her personal life. So if we're going to jump ahead a little bit, so we right on the heels of Rebels, we're going to see Hera next in Rogue One. We don't actually see her. We hear a page for General Syndulla.
Yeah.
We see Chopper.
Yeah.
And we see the ghost. So we know she's around. But there she's at war.
Ashley screaming from the seats in the theater at the top of her lungs. I did. It was so funny. I'm pretty sure
she's
people
right
hate me.
there. After that, again, we see her in Star Wars Squadrons. At this point, she's 33. Squadrons is sort of the beginning of the New Republic. She's the New Republic general at that point. It's a video game. I don't recommend playing it in VR unless you have a really strong stomach. Didn't go well for me. But it is nice to kind of see her. Yeah, it's rough. I had to sit down.
No.
I can't do this. But we do, we see her again, purely military, right? She's all business. She's all about getting the job done, getting the mission done.
Voiced again by Vanessa Marshall, which is
and
amazing.
Mocap
Yes,
by Vanessa
girl.
as well. But the next sort of appearance that we see her in is the one that piqued my interest the most, because I felt like there was definitely some tap dancing that the author had to do here. So the next place we see Hera, of course, is the Alphabet Squadron. It's a trilogy, so there are 3 books in this trilogy. Takes place with Project Cinder, which is basically the end of the war, but there are all these like little factions of the Empire that are still trying to like rise up and like regain some power with like whatever piecemeal sort of team that they can kind of put together and ships they can put together. At this point, Hera is a general, and she's way out there basically squashing these little cells of Imperials that come up. And she's put in charge of a battle group, again, hand-picking pilots to kind of send out onto these missions.
Right.
Alexander Freed is the writer. We have the Alphabet Squadron, Shadowfall, and Victory's Price are the 3 books. But what's so interesting here is that Alexander Freed had said in an interview that he was not really allowed to, by name, mention any part of the Ghost Crew. So he couldn't make any mention of Kanan. He couldn't make any mention of Ezra, Sabine, Zeb. But there are all of these like weird workarounds that he kind of gets to. Like there's one line about how they're about to go up into this really terrible mission. Like the odds are totally stacked against them. And one of the pilots was like, well, we couldn't complete this mission. Like not even a Jedi could complete this mission. And one of the other pilots says, well, General Syndulla, this would be a great time to tell us if you had a Jedi up your sleeve. And like, there's this like veiled sort of like, comment about how Hera, remembered a time when she did have a Jedi up her sleeve, but he could not say the word Kanan. So what I'm hoping, in a roundabout way, coming back to Ahsoka, is that we've had all of these instances of Hera being this incredible force, pun intended, right, in the New Republic government,
Right.
in the military, but we haven't had a chance to see her really come to terms with what has happened to her family. We haven't
Right.
seen her come to terms with what has happened to Kanan except for the very end of Rebels. We don't know anything about her relationship with her son. We don't know if Cham is still around, alive. We don't know what's going on with her relationship with Sabine. Like, we don't know any of that. So I'm kind of hoping that since she is so, commonly referred to as the space mom, like, are we actually going to get to see this poor woman experience her family?
Like as much as I love Ahsoka, I really and this is the moments where I'm totally conflicted. Like I really would love to see the Rebels story continue in live action, like where there's stories to tell. And obviously, as you've just said, there is so much to tell with Hera. Like we get pieces of her grief and those quiet moments with Chopper where she's holding the Calicori and she's like, I should have told him sooner. And she's crying and she's in the cave and his mask and his hair and then the knife are all on the table with his lightsaber. So I wanted more from that. I wanted more stories from the Ghost Crew where available. Obviously, like Zeb is out running the New Republic at this point, as we've seen in Mandalorian season 3. And I wanted more for them. And I know it's Ahsoka's story, and I know Ahsoka is so deeply like ingrained in this against, Thrawn and the Magistrate, Morgan Elsbeth, and now these mysterious orange saber Jedis or former Jedis, now Sith, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play it both. And that's why I'm really hoping that the episodes are long and the story leads to more. If they can't go into it in Ahsoka, that they go into it more in something else in the future.
It's definitely Hera is the character I worry about the most in Ahsoka.
Right.
Speaking transparently and being fully honest, right? And I think it's because she is, as you know, but maybe our audience doesn't. She is the character that is the dearest to my heart in all of Star Wars and
Right.
possibly in all of fiction. She's a character I just really lean into very hard, and one I am just so fascinated by and so inspired by. So I worry a lot in that it almost feels like, because there's been all these rumors like, oh, the Ghost Crew's only going to be in a couple of episodes. They might not be in every episode. So I just worry a little bit about like how her story is one that deserves its own headline, and I don't want her
Right.
to be a backup dancer to another person's story. Like having her appear in another story is fine, but I feel like for so long between books and video games and the
Right.
shows, we've
Yeah.
only gotten this very military Hera when her personal story is there's so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
And we've spent so much time, we're 45 minutes into our show now, we've spent so much time talking about all of these traits that really make her so unique and really make her such a standout character in Star Wars.
Hmm.
But I think it's time to also give her the credit that's due for her personal story, because it is an important one. And Rebels was so revolutionary at the time because it was really the first time that we had seen this war from the viewpoint of sort of normal people, right? We'd seen it from the Jedi's side and we had seen it from the Empire, but we hadn't really gotten this story necessarily from, you know, a ragtag bunch of, you know,
Yeah.
ragtag bunch of people in a fancy diamond shaped ship. So um
Yeah.
so that's what I kind of hope to see, and I
Yeah.
wait.
My hope is, that we'll get it, and maybe this is just a stepping stone into the first steps into the larger world, as Obi-Wan would say. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting come August next month, girl.
Ugh, ugh.
I know
Listen,
the stress is real for you, but yeah,
if I fall off the face of the planet, just assume it's
yeah.
fine.
Well,
It's
I am
fine.
here at 3 a.m. if you need to vent.
Gonna
Yes,
be.
Amanda. Amanda says she is cautiously optimistic that we'll get to see more of that personal side. Me too. If not in this, like I said, something else.
And one of the things that we talked about, if you saw our interview with Vanessa Marshall, is we talked about how, or she talked about how comforting it was to know that, a character so special and one that meant so much to so many of us, sort of endured. And she showed up over, and I'm not even looking at that chat.
You saw that last note and
I
you're just like,
I sure did. I was gonna say something really poignant, and then Juan is like tentacles, and I'm like, perfect.
oh, yeah, there it is.
Anyway, but no, I think it is really a comfort to know that she has had such an unbelievable tenure in the Star Wars universe, and
Yeah.
that we're not done with her. Like, right? She's made it all the way through the Rise of Skywalker. So
And
I mean, Homegirl's
she's
been
been in the
around.
background for everything,
Mhm,
like the major points in history, like
mhm,
Rogue One, the epic battle of Rogue One, the epic battle against the risen Empire in,
mhm.
in Rise of Skywalker. Girl has seen some stuff, and I am excited, and I want to know more, and
Like I said,
I trust
prequel
Dave.
trilogy, original trilogy, and sequel trilogy. She's been through all three. And that I think also in a lot of ways really kind of breaks my heart, right? Like,
Yeah.
bringing it back to Thrawn's line about like, you only know war, you were forged in war. Like, my God, imagine putting the Empire to bed and then being like, all right, New Republic, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Oh God, they're back. And she has to go through this all over again.
Yeah, and
You
I
know,
feel like that's also like the similarities between that and there's no peacetime. There's never been peacetime in this world. So you have like World War I, World War II, you have Korean War, you have Vietnam, you have Operation Desert Storm, you have Afghanistan, Cold War. Like all these things happened. Like it has never not been war. So the
mm,
similarities between what is going on in Star Wars and what is going on in the real world obviously are identical. It's completely parallel.
yeah.
And like a lot of us, I feel like that's one of the reasons why I relate to Hera so much, because
Mm.
she gets thrown into all these horrible situations that are designed to test her and break her, and could have broken her and just made her be like, no, I'm giving up. I'm going back to Ryloth. I'm gonna be on a blurg farm and, and live my life like Quill, you know. Me and Quill are gonna start a blurg farm. Yeah. Um,
It's
so I think the fact that she still has that heart and she believes so much in the good of people out there and the good
mm,
in planets and people out there, it's just um and her hope, as she
mhm.
says, we have hope that things that will get better, and they will. And she never loses that. She always has that, and it's just to live that life and to be inspired to have all that shit happen to you and still maintain your heart is
Yeah.
incredibly important. And that's how I try to live my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
So
and that was for sure, I think, the most important part that I latched onto, and why I wear my little hair ring every day is because things are not great. and
yeah,
and knowing that you can be this incredibly masterful tactician and this incredible war general, and I mean, Hera has
yeah,
taken lives, right? But there's a part of her that takes no joy in that, and there
yeah,
it's balancing that incredible force on the battlefield
right,
with real heart and real empathy and real respect for human life and wanting to do better for human life. I thought it was funny because when we were watching Andor, when Andor was airing, and we came up to that episode with the Mind Flayer. I know we've talked about this in other shows, and how he kept saying, like, this is a Mind Flayer, this is a Mind Flayer, and the New Republic guy was like, no, it's fine, it's just going to tickle a little bit. I remember thinking in that moment, I'm like, Hera is a part of this new republic, and I can't imagine a world where she would ever get behind something like that. Like, torture is, like, so far out of
oh,
her.
you meant the Mandalorian.
I sure did,
It was kind
sorry.
of like the Andor episode. It was
Yeah, yeah,
Andor,
it was the Andor
the
episode, the Andor
Malignant,
episode of the
yeah,
Mandalorian.
the
Yeah.
Mandalorian. Yeah, I got
Yeah. It was
it.
like, when we all watched the Book of Boba Fett, but really we were watching, like, the Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah,
That's what it
got
was. Uh, it's all one big Star War in my brain.
Yeah, we
It's
got you. We knew what you meant. We
but
totally
no,
get it.
I think about that with, Hera being such a strong presence in the New Republic. I'm like,
Yeah,
my God, she would never get behind something like that. And that to me is sort of
yeah,
the barometer, right? It's like, if Hera wouldn't get behind it, gosh darn it, neither am I. I
right?
would not
Oh
get
my
behind it
god.
either.
And I don't think
So,
tactics like that. I don't think she knew. I think
oh
she
no, I
was
don't think so
more
either.
concerned about keeping the cells out of the outer rim and things like
Yeah.
that. But how they were operating internally, it's just, yeah. So I don't think she delves as deeply
Mm-mm.
into that as possible. I think as general leads on the battlefield, they leave their scientists and their shady operatives to kind of work in the shadows like that. So um I think that
She
might come
does.
up as a problem in the future, to
It
be
will, because
honest.
I mean, and if you visit any of the Alphabet Squadron books, like, she definitely has some very real awareness and some very real concerns with, like, the camps that they have all these imperial prisoners in, because one of those people ends up becoming somebody that works for her. So she's very aware of, like, how the New Republic is treating these imperial officers and these imperial prisoners, and
Right.
she definitely has some pause around that. So, again, I think about, of all the characters in Star Wars, right? Like, you think about, there are so many good characters out there, like,
Yeah.
not good as in, like, wow, they're really well written, but, like, characters who are just genuinely good.
Yeah.
And of all of them, Hera is the character that I absolutely use as my barometer of, like, what would somebody put it in the chat? What would Hera do? That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
That's Dave.
There's
So
another t-shirt. Yeah. What would Hera do?
yeah. I need that on a
But
shirt.
but it's so true. It's so true. Like, of all of the characters out there, she is absolutely far and away the one that I would trust to make the
Yeah.
decision to not only keep me alive, but to keep me sort of spiritually grounded as well, I think, in a lot of ways.
Right. And I think
So,
that's why the Ghost family is such a core group. It's like you have a former thief, you have a Jedi Padawan on the run, like survivors of Order 66. You have one of the last Lasats in the galaxy. You have a rescued astromech who who has homicidal tendencies.
We're
It's like
willing to
this
overlook that.
totally willing to, forever to look that over. Yes, murder droid for the win. Yes. But yeah, we have all these people who, on their own, would probably be in some kind of imperial prison, but together they're out there and they're making a difference in the galaxy, and it's because of her. She's the heart of the ghost. And honestly, I feel like with so many, yes, thank you, Spencer. Yeah. Oh my god.
Not for nothing, but as soon as you have your first kid, that literally becomes like your your like knee-jerk reaction. It's like,
yeah,
all right, kid, have a good day at school and take care. Take your multivitamin. Give him hell. Take your multivitamin. Little pat on the head. You're doing great, sweetie.
One, it would be cool to see Cal and meet Hera and her kid, and that's what I was kind of hoping for in Jedi Survivor. So, oh well, we'll see. It'd be nice to have Cameron Monaghan show up in live action.
Not mad about that.
Yeah.
Not mad about that. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, at the beginning of the show, we are 50 days away from Ahsoka, which means that we are 50 days away from Hera, which means that, I don't know, I might actually pass out before that happens. We'll see.
Yeah, Jamie's anxiety count is just... But you know what?
Something midichlorian count, something.
I'm here for you, lady. We'll walk you through it together, because I guarantee you. Yeah.
It was a really good time to find another coping mechanism within Star Wars. Let me just tell you. It's been a really good time to have another hyperfixation.
I mean, you delved headfirst into the High Republic, so you're just like springboarding off.
Said I wasn't going to talk about it in this show, and here we are. Anyway.
Yeah, well, we know you better than that. So,
yes.
So another thing that I want to discuss real quick, because I know we're getting towards the end of our show here, is the possibility of not only, and I love how Hera is such a lightning rod for so many different characters. Like, she's shown up in so many different places, met so many different characters: Ahsoka, Mon Mothma, Lando Calrissian. Like,
oh yeah,
for a minute she was in the caper with good old Lando and some puffer pigs. We don't know, John, but I'm willing to figure it out. So, yeah. So she's been like a lightning rod and a fixture point between like the Bad Batch and Omega, Lando, the crew of Rogue One, and she's been everywhere. Princess Leia. I want to see where else it can go, and I'm hoping that she just is able to get a home, like she has in Rebels, just not to be such a floater within the universe, but that's my hope for her, is that she's grounded and she gets her story told, because you know, we love her so much and we just want to see some more. So
it's literally all I want, like literally,
and to be done well.
Yes, please
be done well.
Please be done well. And listen, I would take it
alone.
I would take it in any format at this point. You want to give me a book series? I will be the first in line to buy those books. You want to give me, an
as long as they stay canon.
How much time we have left in this show? Not enough time. Not enough time. But seeing her, and this is sort of canonicity. This is sort of where a lot of my frustration lies, is that we are in this era of Star Wars where I think we really love seeing these cameos, and we really love seeing like, I know that character from this place and that place and this place and that place, and it's fun to see those characters, but I also am just really longing for, sort of like you said, right? Like let's
get the girl home.
Instead of having this character show up in 16 different places, how about we do give her that story that she deserves? We do give her the ending of her story, or the continuation of her story that she deserves, and we get it done in a meaningful way that honors the character and it honors the work that people put into her. So absolutely, we'll see.
and we have great guardians of the character and Vanessa Marshall, and now in Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Like these women, especially Vanessa has fostered Hera into reality, both on the Bad Batch and in Rebels, and everywhere else, like Alphabet Squadron, the squadrons. I'm
the video game.
I was confused. Game, book, yes. you know, she's shepherded this character into a major part of our fandom, and honestly, the woman is a saint, and we've spoken
Mhm,
to her.
mhm.
We cried talking to her. It was,
Totally normal.
yeah, totally normal, and I'm honestly excited to see if she pops up in Ahsoka and in what way.
I mean, she could throw a voice in there. She could do anything.
I mean, I had a theory and it just popped into my head now, so I'm part of me if it just sounds way off. I'm hoping like she's Eleni. That would be cool.
Oh, meh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
throwing it out there, but yeah.
she'd be dead by that point though, unless they did like a
No,
flashback.
yeah, if it's like a flashback or something. Again, if they don't have enough time, they don't have enough time. But even if
We'll
it's in
see.
another form, I will be
We got
totally
10
happy.
episodes. We'll see.
Ah,
So,
give us 20.
uh,
We need more story.
well, I'm all right with 10 if the 10 are the story. You know, we don't need to be
Yeah.
dragging this out for 30 seasons.
She's like, we're not gonna do that. Nope, nope. Just
My blood
no.
pressure can't handle that. My doctor's already nervous about me. It's fine. It's totally fine.
It's totally fine. It's just yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So let me see here. Going back a little bit. We have what's to come ahead this week on the VCN. So we have tomorrow night, we have our virtual Cantina watch along with the guys. Make sure you are following us on YouTube at Virtual Cantina Network, on Instagram, Virtual Cantina Network, on Twitter, Cantina Virtual, Hi Virtual Cantina, and on TikTok, Virtual Cantina. We will be going into the watch along. Jeff, do you know what you guys are watching tomorrow night? I'm not seeing it
I'm
on
trying to
this
pull it up
list.
right now.
Yeah,
Let's see.
it's not
Fair.
coming up on my end, but
Season 3 of Clone Wars, I believe. I'm not sure exactly which
Ooh.
episodes, like 4, 5, 7, and 11 or something.
yeah, those are
in
good
re-
episodes.
So I'm sure Mark picked some excellent ones for us to
The best of the best. Mark is
enjoy.
currently on his cruise. The best of the best. Mark is currently on his cruise.
Oh, sorry. That was my phone acting up as I was trying to find the
Sorry.
episodes of the Clone Wars, and then there was a bunch of background noise. Oh, it's still doing it. Okay, there we go. Technology,
Mhm.
not my strong suit.
It's
Sitting
all
here
good.
doing all these shows sitting on the floor of my office. It's going great over here.
Hey, we do what we can.
Okay, so we have a watch along tomorrow.
Mhm.
Episodes TBA. Next week, not next week, our next show 2 weeks from today, we are going to be talking about the one, the only Sabine Wren. We're so excited.
Near and dear to Jamie's heart because
I mean, name your kid after a
Obviously.
Star Wars character, they said. It'll be fun, they said. And it has been fun. It's been really fun naming your kid after a cool Mandalorian. But our intention for this show is to really make all of the characters kind of link into one another, right? So the Padme to Hera was maybe a little bit of a stretch, but you know, Hera into Sabine and Sabine into Ahsoka, and you know, so on and so forth. So the idea is that the characters will all kind of connect to one another. So in 2
Right.
weeks, again Wednesday, we'll be talking about Sabine Wren.
okay.
We have some other stuff going on this week. Well, sorry,
Yeah.
I jumped in because I know you were looking up the calendar.
No, I gotcha. Okay, so the VCN watch along, that's right. Jeff said that it's going to be season 3, episodes 4, 6, 7, and 10. That'll be tomorrow night starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you guys watch it. And yes, Juan, we will be getting into Afro
She's coming.
as soon as the summer
She's
is
coming.
over. Trust me, we will not leave Chelly out.
I can't not talk about my favorite dirtbag.
Yes. Our ultimate dirtbag. We love her. Also, this Sunday is the Unifying Force, and they'll be discussing more Ahsoka connections and Mortis. So make sure you don't miss that this Sunday with Kat and Gio and Dave. And next week, we will have a new episode of Rebels Revisited. Mark will be back with us, fully rested and tan, and making us so jealous that he's been in the Bermuda and on a cruise to Bermuda. But a well-deserved vacation, and we hope he's having fun. Make sure you guys go to TeePublic and check out our merch. We have so many cool shirts there,
We gotta get some
including
t-shirts.
the Patriotic Collection, If you love your July 4th gear and you want to get a head start on next year, make sure you grab that there. We have the Rebels Pride collection, of course. Virtual Cantina shirts.
Sports ball
Yes,
jerseys.
also, yes, we still have our baseball jerseys available until the end of the month. Spencer has been sending those out feverishly. Make sure you get your orders in. You can order one or both and customize them to your liking at the link. I'm sure the link will pop up as soon as they have it. It's not at TeePublic. There's
You
another.
got to go to the Facebook page and search for the jerseys. It's probably a pinned post,
Yes.
featured post at
it
the
is.
top of the page.
Yep.
So it shouldn't be too hard to find. But if you search, VCN baseball jersey, it probably would be top of the list.
Yes.
Will this be the first time I ever wear a sports ball jersey?
I don't know. Those hockey jerseys are pretty rad. So
Hockey jersey looks cool.
yeah, as soon
I'm
as
afraid
The
of
as,
Racers
sports.
are amazing.
as
Yeah.
a Red Sox fan, I'm all for those baseball jerseys. So yeah, I might definitely have to pick one up, at least. And yes, Spencer, it happens sometimes. Yeah, we're the resident bookworm, so
No idea. I've never read a book in my life.
yeah, ever.
Just
It's the whole
ever.
shelf behind you.
Not now, not
so
ever.
yeah, that's what we got going on. So make sure you guys tune into the VCN the rest of this week, and make sure you get your orders in for the jerseys, and yeah.
And that's that.
That's that. So I think we would just want to thank you guys for joining us
Yeah.
again this week. Oh, it's our boy. The more you know. Stinky Funky Muffin. I'm sorry. I am fully entitled to just get ridiculously giddy whenever I see that happen. And it just
It's the most
totally
ridiculous thing.
unexpectedly happened. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Spencer. So coming up on the Virtual Cantina Network on Star Wars Rebels Revisited, we're going to be talking to the great Julie Dolan, voice actress of Princess Leia in season 1 of Rebels. And she is pretty amazing, you guys. So make sure you don't miss that. That will be coming up this Monday. I'm so excited. I've heard nothing but good things from Julie. She definitely sounded like a young Carrie Fisher in Rebels, and I can't wait to discuss it with her. And she and the other Leia voice actors have the Legion of Leia, and they just all talk about it. So we're gonna delve into that. We're gonna ask her about it, and I'm so excited. So make sure you turn in on Monday night. Yes. Shame on
It'll be
you,
on
Juan.
YouTube, Juan.
It's okay.
It's
You have a
fine.
phone. You can watch.
We're all going on cruises
We
this year.
forgive you.
It'll be
Sorry.
on demand as well. It'll be
Yes.
on Facebook and on YouTube. So
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
always on demand. All our shows are on YouTube. Virtual Cantina Network. Make sure you follow us on there and subscribe. And yeah, watch all our old episodes. Make sure
And that's
laugh at how
listen,
much we've grown over the course of the last year.
it's a great
but-
thing to watch on the beach while you're on your cruise. It'll be great.
Absolutely. And yeah, a very happy belated Empire Day and Ezra Bridger's birthday, y'all, which is yesterday. I was feeling a little bit salty, so I had to throw up my Empire Day cane and go, yeah, Empire Day. Like Kanan being again the himbo that everybody deserves. I had to throw that up online.
It
but
was
yeah,
definitely a day.
it was a day.
Anyway, friends, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Daughters of the Galaxy. See, we did it in under 4 hours, only an hour, 8 minutes. We did great talking about Hera, all things considered, because I could scream about this forever and ever. But again, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll be back to talk about Sabine Wren, as they say.
That's right.
May the force be with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Have a good week.